And welcome to another episode of the Sharp Side of Paranormal. I am apparently having technical difficulties, and I am actually live today at, again, Eloise Asylum in Westland, Michigan. My audio. That is weird. All right, so a bunch of technical difficulties tonight. I am live tonight at the Eloise Asylum in Westland, Michigan. I think people have put two and two together and have figured out what's going on. So I made the announcement last week that a location was, yes, Emmett, I can see you. Thank you. Was going to have me be their supplier of paranormal equipment. It is Eloise Asylum. So they're going to be announcing it this week, but I'm kind of impatient. Whatever. So tonight I'm really excited because like this group of people actually reached out to me. Normally when I get guests, they actually get asked by me, "Hey, do you want to come be on my show?" You know, but they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we would love to be on your show." And I'm like, fantastic. Let's have you do it. And these guys are from the show The Other Side on Amazon, I believe it is. And if I'm wrong with that, they're gonna chastise me, which is okay, because I normally get details wrong. But I'm gonna go bring them on the cast of The Other Side. Here we go. We got Steve, Colleen, and Rita. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are we all this evening?
Good, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
So, tell me and my audience about yourselves, how you guys got into the paranormal, and how you guys met.
Regina, go ahead, start.
Okay. I've been a paranormal investigator for a very long time, and I've been all over, just like every other paranormal investigator out there. But several years ago, I came up with this idea that there are a lot of different people in the world that communicate to spirits in different ways. Why are we all not working together for a common goal to find evidence to see if what someone else catches is the same as what I can catch as confirmation? So I got together with our executive producer, Chris Martin, who unfortunately couldn't be on tonight, but we've been friends for a very long time. And I pitched this idea to her, and she's like, "This is an amazing idea. There's not another paranormal show out there like this. Some of the paranormal shows will bring in aspects of it, but not to the extent of what we're trying to do." So on our show, which you were correct, it is on Amazon Prime and Paraflix. It's called The Other Side. Brings together a collective group of people with different religious backgrounds, with different ways of communicating with spirits, and we go on an investigation to see if we can find some evidence. So we have Colleen, who's on here tonight, who is a Wiccan witch. We have Steve, who is our shaman. We also have Haley, who's an intuitive. Excuse me. We have Scarlett, who's a tarot card reader. We are going to be bringing on different cast members for every episode, which will have a medium. We will have a bone thrower, a hoodoo practitioner. We have a voodoo practitioner. I'm actually, and the other cast members here don't know this, but I'm actually in talks with a priest who performs exorcisms. So we are constantly looking and adding to our cast to see if people can communicate with spirits and us all get the same answer. Sorry, it's so long-winded.
No. You know what? That's perfect. That gives you a good explanation of what the show is. And I think that is phenomenal that because we're a community. It's the para community. And there's a lot of drama. And sometimes I am in the drama, but that's because I have a history of calling out bullcrap that's in the paranormal community. But the fact that you are working together and you're all coming from different walks of life is kind of refreshing. Have you found that by working with somebody else from a different, religion or a different lifestyle, that do you find new ways to investigate that actually work for you?
Yeah, I think the more that we do this together, the more we're going to learn from each other. So it's an interesting concept, I think, for all of us, because all of us did not know each other. This When we filmed, it was our first time meeting each other, our first time interacting. A lot of the cast members, it was their very very first paranormal investigation. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of learning, and that's part of what this show is. We want to educate people. Like, people may not know what a shaman does. Well, Steve's going to be there to educate them. People may have a preconceived notion of Wiccan and what the practices that they do. So it's about education. It's about us learning from each other. And yes, to answer the question, yes, you'll see in the first pilot episode how we work together, and a lot of the answers that we come up with are the same.
I was going to say, one of the things, I'm Colleen. I'm the witch of the group. I work with the elements and communicate through the elements, communicate through the element of the earth and the energy of the earth. And one of the things I think that surprised Steve and I a little bit was how well he and I work together, because there has been a long historic history of shamans and witches not getting along. It's very stereotypical, yes, but it's there and it's kind of in the background. And so we came into it with very open minds and open hearts, and really just embraced each other's lifestyles, each other's belief systems, and opened up to learning from one another. And, and I think it really works. I think it really works well.
Absolutely. It's sad. I've done some research on that, and it comes down to the patriarchal versus the matriarchal is basically. And there again, that fits so well in the theme that we're working on to blur the lines. And by the way, I call dibs on the priest.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm working hard on him, Steve.
Yeah, no. I get the exorcist, because we're going to compare some notes. Okay.
That is hilarious. Now, I'm going to start with Steve first. So, how did you become a shaman? Like, what got you? Like, hey, I want to be a shaman. Like, I know that's like a very open question, but
first of all, anybody that wants to be a shaman don't know what they're saying. Okay, and it's not something you ask for. It's not something you pursue. It is a calling, much like the priesthood. I avoided it. I tried to run from it for most of my adult life, and you can't outrun the universe and spirit. So it's a long process of learning. No shaman has the same story of how they became or how they came to be. They may follow a pretty much a really kind of a common pattern, because there does seem to be initiations to get you in there. It's a little bit different lifestyle, so it makes sense that there are some initiations to go through. And I've always worked with spirit, and over the years I've gained what I would say is some authority on what I can do in working with spirit. I've never done a paranormal investigation until this TV show, though. I have never worked with human spirits in that way. I've always worked with spirits in general and with the human souls. So this was a whole different perspective going in, and to work with the departed ones, so to speak.
No, I have not seen the show yet. I wanted to wait before talking to you guys before I watch the show. How do you find locations, or how do you determine where you guys go?
It's determined by the production company. They do not give us any heads up on where we're going and where we will be. They want to keep the locations on the down low from us, so we don't have any time to research or do anything to that nature, because they want us to go in there and be open enough to see what we find. We do have a historian that is also on board as part of our cast, so it's going to be interesting to move forward with this group of people, that we go into a location not knowing where it is, what's there, and seeing what we come up with comparative to what the history tells us.
I think that's the best way to do paranormal investigations, going in completely blind. And I know people are like, no, I got to know what's going on. I'm like, no, because I don't want other people's experiences to influence mine.
Right.
My first ever paranormal investigation, I went to Indiana State Sanatorium. I did not watch anything that had to do with ISS. I didn't do any research in the building. And I feel like that's a better way to do it. So I applaud your production team for doing that, because there are people out there, they'll get the history and they'll be like, oh, well, such and such, I'm getting this. And they know the history of the building. And I think that's just wrong. So that's a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
So, Colleen.
Yes.
What made you decide to be Wiccan?
Well, it's a work in progress, as it always is. I was born a witch, and when I really discovered that about myself, I was in my teens, and I started just delving into the path and into the craft. And I will say I did not start out as Wiccan, in very far from that path. And I think it's a matter of age and maturity. I've learned a lot as I've gone down the path of just paganism and what pantheon or where I fall in that. And I just have gone up and down different avenues. Wicca, the older I get, the more it just fits with who I am. So following the celebration of the Sabbats and the story of the god and the goddess, and how that really resonated with me, and the turning of the wheel. And as I learned more about it, now I will say I've never been initiated. I'm not indoctrinated. I'm not any of that. I'm a very solitary witch, but I do follow the Wiccan Rede. At its base, harm none, do as you will, harm none. But of course, it's far more than that. But I just feel that it resonated with who I was as a person, what my guides and my spirits were telling me. So I followed the Wiccan path for probably the last, I would say, 10 years.
And I've got quite a few friends that are Wiccan, and I'm a big friend. The Sharp Side of Paranormal is a big friend to the Wiccan community, because they have helped me out a few times when I've done either residential cases, or I've had a string of bad luck in my personal life. I've help me. And they're like, well, we got you, Cody. So and I'm Lutheran. Okay. So I grew up in the Lutheran church, and it's so weird that Christians, it seems like it's always, and I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say this, I always think that Wiccan or other religions, it's all taboo and it's wrong, and it's no, we're all here spiritually. We all have our higher power that we answer to.
Mm-hmm.
Who says I'm right?
Exactly. Well, I teach I had last year, a friend of mine and we started a class and a kind of a spiritual connection group. It was called Jesus and the Goddess. And the whole idea behind it was to show that we're really not all that different, that all these different religions and all these different paths, whether it's taking a shamanic path, whether it's taking a pagan path, whether it's taking a Christian or a Catholic path, we all really function in a lot of the same ways. And a lot of the times it's simply semantics. It's simply the way we are saying something. I may say spell, you may say prayer. It really comes down to the same thing. And so it's about educating and showing the world that we're all going to the same places. We're all headed in the same direction. We just take different paths to get there. And I think it's a beautiful thing about the human race that we do that.
I absolutely agree. And what I think is funny is when I was in catechism, my catechism instructor and I were riding in the car one day, and we were listening to the Christian radio station. And it was a talk radio thing, and they were talking about the show Medium, that was on NBC early 2000s, and they were talking about how that's bad, and I'm like, how is being a medium bad? Oh, because you're it's evil. And I'm like, but why is it evil? And they couldn't give a real answer to that. I'm like, if they're doing good, if they're helping find a murderer or finding a lost person, God gave them that gift for a reason. So why are we chastising them for that?
Yeah,
I see Steve wants to chime in.
Yeah, and this is a shameless plug for my book. I'm just going to say that because I wrote the book called Simpatico, which is about reconciling the disparity between ancient wisdom, spirituality, and modern science. And the whole thing, simpatico is an Italian or a Spanish word. It means on the same wavelength. It means in agreement with. And that's one reason Chris actually found me to do the shows, because we have that same ism and that same principle guiding us, that we're all talking about the same thing, calling it different things, like Colleen said. But in my research, I mean, in a lot of that very negative thing about religion. First of all, religion is all about control, and it has to be their way. But in Deuteronomy, in the Old Testament, it says that, what does it say? Fortune tellers and mediums and things like that must be avoided, that they are not of God. And that's just a classic example of people reading this one paragraph and using it to justify their stance. And if they would read the whole page, then they would see that it's a lead-in for the great prophet, which was Yeshua, Jesus, to come, and anybody that would speak the word of God, but not the heathens. It's in the Old Testament. So they draw on that as law, and it's misunderstood, it's misguided. It's in the Bible.
So many times that things like that are, because like you said, Steve, they take a very small portion of it, just like our very common saying, blood is thicker than water.
Yeah.
Well, what is the whole statement?
My favorite, I think, is a woman will obey her husband. It does actually say that. And that's a sentence in a whole page where it also says, but you should love her as you love yourself. And it goes into this whole other other big explanation. And it's just amazing to me. It's like the Christians badmouth the Jews. People don't study their fucking history, okay? Because if they did, they would realize that the teachings of Jesus came from Kabbalah, the Talmud, and the Essenes. The Christian teachings are all based in Jewish beliefs. It's ignorance. It's just really ignorance. People just don't realize. They do what their preacher says or their rabbi, and no offense to the priest, but I mean, that's the Catholic Church is notorious for that.
Now, before we get into a whole secular conversation, we can save this for another day. I mean, obviously, we're here you're plugging the show, and I know this is important, but I don't want to go too far off the path of
Mm-hmm.
It's a rabbit hole.
It is a rabbit hole. It is absolutely a rabbit hole, and and it's funny is because religion treats the paranormal as taboo, but paranormal is an integral part of religion. It really is. And to consider it taboo is just wrong.
Which I think is why this show is so revolutionary in a lot of ways, because like Regina said, we're bringing together all these different viewpoints to work with the paranormal and show that many different viewpoints, including Catholics and Christians and Lutherans, and everybody can work together, and we are all going to get hopefully a lot of the same result and a lot of the same answers. So maybe it won't be as taboo anymore.
Yeah, because it really, we shouldn't even tag it paranormal. We shouldn't tag it supernatural. It's normal. It's natural. It all is. We just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Regina, you've been pretty quiet.
I'm just letting them talk.
Now, is it like this when you guys are filming too?
Absolutely.
It's, like I said, we had never met each other until the day we stepped foot on Missouri State Prison, is where we filmed the pilot episode. And it was really an amazing thing how we all just kind of came together, and we didn't know what to expect and didn't know each other. And it just worked, and it just was easy. Through this whole process, working with Chris, our executive producer, to find these individuals, it just really kind of all fell into place. And we kept saying, this is too easy. Like, this is too easy. But I'm a firm believer in, nothing, there's no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason, and people are put in your life for a reason. And just, this is the reason, like everything just lined up.
I feel very blessed because I was kind of a last minute ad, and I don't take that as a bad thing. I think, like I say, spirit and source work in the ways that it is meant to. And the person that was, I guess, the Wiccan or witch that they had lined up had to drop out at the last minute. And Chris called me about 2 weeks before production. She found me on Facebook. We didn't know each other from Adam. And she just reached out one night through Facebook Messenger and said, "Hi, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Any interest?" And I went, "Sure." I'd never done anything of this, any sort of thing like that. So I was like, "Hey, why not? Let's see what happens." And I think it was very organic. We made it very organic, and that's what works about this show.
It sounds so fun. It does sound so fun. Like, so are you guys, is the plan just like pay to play locations, or is the option to actually do residential cases as a group as well?
I think for our first season, it's probably going to be just regular pay to play locations. I don't know if production has any plans to do any residential. I don't know that it's off the books. But I think right now it's just going to be, more. They're always trying to look for locations that have never been on TV or have had very little exposure of being on TV, from what I've been told. Again, they don't tell us the location, so I've just been asked because I'm part of production. But again, they won't tell me. They'll have a side conversation without me, but have asked me several questions. Have you been here? Have you been there? So, and they've all been big named locations that they're asking me about. So
now we have Amber, though, too, the researcher, and she might uncover some things that nobody's heard about.
Right.
And that's refreshing, because you see a lot of these paranormal shows, and listen, I'm guilty of it, myself, because I go to the same locations that everybody else. I mean, obviously Eloise, it's been on pretty much every single paranormal TV show. It's really hard to find locations that have not been on TV.
Yes.
Well, and I think with our show, one of the unique things about it is that we can go to a location that has been seen in fairly different, in a lot of different ways or a lot of different shows. And we can still give it that brand new, unique perspective because we are talking about so many different types of people coming together and so many different types of energy working to bring, and it'll bring up a completely different aspect to that location. At least that's the idea.
Right. And also, I mean, what's the likelihood that Colleen and Steve have been to a location that I've been to as a paranormal investigator?
Well,
Very
none,
unlikely
because
that they
I've been to
have.
one location in my life.
Right.
You were with me.
So what, Steve, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I mean, but after this, I'm constantly looking. I'm constantly on listening for something. It's kind of like I see opportunities and thinking, we need to keep that in mind. That's somewhere we could go. I keep hoping I'll get that one phone call where it's a hot spot, and I can call Regina and say, okay, y'all come on down here because I got something, or wherever.
So how many episodes have you guys filmed so far?
We've
Just the
filmed
pilot.
the one pilot. We are self-funded, so we're in the process of putting together the money. As anybody knows who does any kind of filming, it's expensive to film a TV show. So we do have a spot fund on our Facebook page. If anybody's willing and wants to donate, we would appreciate that. But otherwise, we're looking for investors. We're looking for places that will work with us to allow us to film for a lower cost, obviously, if that's even out there. Being a paranormal investigator, right? Things are not cheap.
Absolutely, they're not cheap.
No.
That's why I started my equipment business, and here's a shameless plug for my equipment business. There's a gatekeeping that goes on in the paranormal community, and it seems like everything's really expensive. So that's why I make equipment that's really good quality for really cheap, so everybody can have fun. But no, I think obviously I do know several location owners. Maybe I will float. Hey, this TV show is looking for locations to film, and I'm pretty sure they'll work something out. Like,
yeah, we would appreciate any help.
Well, and it's a benefit to them too, because if we come in and we do filming there, just like everybody knows, just like you and with the podcast, it's like the more exposure you get, the more publicity, all of that. It's good on both sides. So
yeah, that's why I'm wearing my Halloween shirt with the building.
Nothing wrong with that.
With the building in the background. I was invited up here. They're having a paranormal lockdown going on tonight, and I was invited out here, and I was like, "Well, I got to do my podcast." And they're like, "Well, it's really loud inside there. Your show's right when we're having break." And I was like, "I'll do it in the back of my car. It's okay. I used to be a news photographer, so I'm used to working out of a car and doing productions out of a car. So it's fine." So I do apologize for like all the noises in the background. I do apologize for that, but So whose idea was it for the show? Was it Chris's idea for the show, and then she just started reaching out to people, or
it was
Regina's idea?
Yeah, it was my idea that I pitched to Chris, because Chris had a production company already. So, and like I said, we've been friends for a long time, and she had tried to do another paranormal show, actually a couple paranormal shows that just didn't pan out. And she would consult me, ask me questions if I thought something would work or not work. And finally, one day she came to me and she's just like, "I'm just out of ideas. Like the two things that I've tried have not worked. I'm just like ready to give up. I'm out of ideas." And I said, "Well, I've kind of got this idea that I've had on the back burner. I don't know if it'll work." I was a little bit hesitant to even share it with her because I'm like, I don't know if this sounds like it's too crazy. Is it even possible to do? So I pitched it to her, and she's like, "That's amazing. Like, why hasn't anybody else thought about this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So
because most people, and I'm not saying everybody that's in the paranormal TV world, but a lot of them are only in it for the fame.
Right.
And let's be honest, people will say, "Oh no, 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 we're in it for the spirits, we're in it for the locations and sharing the history." No, you're not. Based on your actions, no, you're not. Like there are other people that have TV shows that are actually, do a good job, but then there are others that just make a mockery of the paranormal community. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just refreshing that, first off, bring people that weren't in the paranormal community into the paranormal community, show them what we're about, and then breaking down the stereotypes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep. And that
No.
was
Yeah, I
that was
think-
one of that was one of the main things. It's like, we have to be able to do this right. We have to be able to educate people who may not know anything about any of these other cast members. They just have these preconceived notions. And so it's really important for us to get this right, and of course to show the evidence and show the proof that we all can work together.
Mhm. And I think it's very important, like we say, that we keep it as authentic as possible. We all understand that there is some behind the scenes. Okay, we're going to stand over here. You're going to, that kind of thing. But we don't want the preconceived notions. We don't want the staged scenes and things like that. We want this to be extremely organic, extremely authentic, so that people see that and they see that these are real people. We are real people. I'm coming into this as fresh and as newbie as it gets on the paranormal investigation level. But when it comes to my interaction with energies and the things around me, I have a long history of that. So how that interacts with Steve, how it interacts with Regina, I get to learn, they get to learn, and we all get to educate people that are watching.
Exactly.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, that was great, because when we all walked in blind, nobody knew what they were going to do or how we were going to do it. But when they turned us loose, everything fell into place. Everybody kind of did their thing, and it all meshed together really well. And I think the paranormal investigation was really the ideal petri dish for the experiment. I don't
Right,
know
and the
that.
investigation almost, not entirely, but almost became secondary. It really became more about how were we, what was Steve feeling? What was I feeling? What were we interacting with? And did we get the same? We had two groups, and we did one group feel something different, and
Right.
why did they feel something different, as opposed to, and how that interacted. And then we'd all come together at the end and talk about it. And I think that made it, like I say, very authentic. And I think for me, that's extremely important, because being a person from the outside of the community, of the paranormal community, that's one thing I've never liked about those kinds of TV shows, is that to me, it's like, God, these are so staged. And that just drives me crazy, because I know there's authenticity out there, and I know there's real interactions, and that's what I'm looking for.
I mean, wasn't that the main point?
Exactly.
I mean, it wasn't the investigation; it was the coming together. But the investigation was, I think, the ideal setting,
Right,
for what we did. So I mean, everything just really fell into place for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. It was, and it was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah.
It
So
was.
I'm reading the comments. My friend Ashley, dang it, Cody, say hi at least. I've seen your comments, but I'm not going to stop them talking just to respond to your comments, Ashley. Yes, I know you're already haunted. My friend Ashley, she is, I guess, a medium. She just recently found this out. I was on a TikTok live with her, and something like crashed on the desk behind her while we were talking, and there was nothing. Don't butcher it. It's not. You know what, Ashley? We're not going to get into it. Anyway, so, and then one of my psychic friends actually joined in the live and actually described a man that was standing behind my friend Ashley, and it turned out to be her grandfather that was behind her. So So Ashley wants to be part of the paranormal community, but yes, you can join the paranormal community. Anybody can join the paranormal community. Heck, my 8-year-old son's part of the paranormal community. He's right there. He was here investigating tonight. So it's nice to have. It's nice that you guys are showing that anybody from any walk of life can be a paranormal investigator and use your life experiences for that.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and we really hope to be able to share more of it and experience it in more different places and more different ways, because each place will influence all of us differently.
Now, how did Missouri State affect you all? Like, did y'all have anything crazy happen, or?
Oh, well, you're just going to have to watch the show and find out.
They
Isn't that the
won't give me
purpose?
They won't give spoilers. See, normally I have my microphone that I can just do that with this microphone. So,
But,
No spoilers, but just enough to say it's worth the watch. It is worth the watch. Yes.
So is that part of Amazon Prime, or do you have to pay for it? How does that?
it is on Amazon Prime, but it is a $1.99 rental.
That's not bad.
No.
I usually get like. No, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, it's still on Paraflix too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have
Yeah.
Paraflix subscription, then you can watch it for free.
And that's all about paranormal investigation. So, I mean,
I don't have Paraflix. I might have to subscribe to Paraflix now.
You should. Yeah, it's Patty. It's Patty Negri is one of the producers of that network.
It's the Netflix of the paranormal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want a show on Paraflix. Let's put my show on Paraflix. Let's not.
Reach out to them.
Yeah, well, Patty, I'll see Patty in 2 weeks, so I'll let her know.
Now, here's the thing. I am actually filming a documentary this year. And so when you said earlier the cost of doing production, yes, it is absolutely expensive. Like, I'm the executive producer and director, and it is like I'm doing all the filming, and there's going to be a couple of people with me that we're going to do handheld cameras, kind of like other people do, and I'm going to be the one editing, and I'm going to use my previous experience in doing news photography and sports photography to do this, and hopefully it turns out. I hope it turns out, but you live and learn. But it really is expensive.
It's very expensive. I think the production crew, is the bulk of the cost, just because they have to have so many hands and all the editing that needs to be done. I mean, we filmed, and then it took almost close to a year for editing to put it together and be finished with it. So yeah, it's a long process, but it does cost a lot of money. That's why I said
we're expensive too.
Yeah, we are. Of course we are.
We don't work cheap.
And I done got used to that, so I'm not going to stop. I want more.
I'm good for I'll work for wine and fig Newtons, but
I'll work for a cheeseburger. That's
right.
I'm cheap. Now I got my. I don't know why it's not working, so I'm using the camera on my computer to do the show tonight. But I have a 4K camera here that I normally do all my stuff with, and it's for whatever reason not working. And that's how I'm going to film majority of my documentary is on this Canon 4K camera, just because I can't afford the cost of going out and buying a $2,000-$3,000 movie camera. No, I'm just going to use this. Will it work?
When you post this podcast, you let us know, and we can always post it on our Facebook pages and tag Paraflix, because we've given them a pretty good plug tonight.
Yeah.
So actually, we are. What's funny is we are actually live right now. So we're live on Facebook, on my Facebook. We're also live on my YouTube. So in this right now, I have taken it off podcast sites because I'm switching podcast providers of who does my hosting, but the video stays on YouTube, and it goes on Facebook. My son's trying to get in on the shot. Facebook and YouTube. He wants to be he wants to be in the limelight. There you go. You should. There you go. You get on your next episode. You can have an 8-year-old be part of your.
Hey, that's actually a really unique perspective. I mean, having a kid's viewpoint, they are so connected, and probably more so than most adults. They see things differently. They feel things differently. And they're not afraid. They really are not afraid to tell you and to connect. As long as they feel safe and secure, then they really have some good points of view.
Now,
it might make us look bad though. Some kid in there, and they might just show us up.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to say this, and I know my ex-wife and my wife is going to watch this and see this, and they're going to hear this. So we were up on the 5th floor, and they got hydrotherapy tubs up there. And unfortunately, some suicides and possible homicide had happened in this tub. I sat in it, and he just hops right in with me. Just hops right in. And then I start taking pictures of him, and there's this white mist that actually shows up in front of him in a couple of the photos, and then it's gone. So, because you always got to take multiple photos. You can't just take one and call it good. No, you got to take multiple. So it goes from nothing to being there. So, but he's fearless. He's absolutely fearless, and I love, this is not his first paranormal investigation, and we went to the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana, a few times, and there's a little boy spirit, and the first time we ever went there, they got toys set up for this little boy Andy, and he was playing with my son, and he would light up a cat ball for the next toy that he wanted my son to play with. So I think, obviously, I'm a little biased, but I think he's going to be a phenomenal paranormal investigator. But I think having a kid gives another perspective, like you said, because I feel sometimes spirits will be like, oh, he's a little kid. He's not. They look at an adult and they're like, oh, they're here to harm us. But a kid's not here to harm us. So.
And my viewpoint, and this comes into my, my, I guess my faith background, is that I believe that the children, infants even, are more connected to their source energy, to God, goddess, put your label, your name on it, but to source energy. So they're more connected, and they remember more than we do about the being in the non-physical world. And it actually brings them a level of protection that adults don't have. Because by the time you're an adult, you've stripped away a lot of your beliefs. A lot of adults have become non-believers. We all go through that phase in life, and some get it back, some don't. But when you're a child, the act of believing actually brings you the protection. So being able to go into locations like that with that fierceness and that fearlessness, it's because they know what they're connected to. They know who their guides are. They know who their gods are, and they're protected and they're okay.
And Ashley just brings up a good point. Not to mention the kids that remember their past lives.
Exactly. Yeah, they remember because they're more connected.
They're just more open. That's
right.
That's what it means. They're just more open.
They really are.
They don't have education.
I was at a place today. I was working, and I was reading aura photos for people today. And this one lady came up with her 3-month-old baby, and I read the mom's aura photo, not the baby, but I read the mom's aura photo, and then I stood up and went around, and she had the baby in the stroller. And I love infants. I'm a grandma, so I love going and talking to them. And this little girl, she was wide awake, and she's just babbling at me and talking to me and looking right past my shoulder. And I realized she was watching my guide, and she was looking straight, making eye contact, just interact. She babbled at me, but she was talking to my head counsel over here, who's always with me. And I could feel the guide, my goddess's energy just pushing down, and she's like, "Would you move out of the way, Colleen? I'm trying to talk to this baby." So, yeah, I mean, you could see her, the babies, the little girls. She would smile and she would gurgle and goo, and she wasn't looking at me. She was looking right past my shoulder. It was amazing. It was like it was really neat to watch. So, kids are very open from the time they're born until they
So,
forget everything.
Ashley says, "I see faint auras, but I would love to get mine read."
Yep. Well, I don't know if you live in the Texas area, but we can come into. We read auras where I work all the time. Yep.
She's actually from Texas,
Okay.
but
Well,
she lives
we're
in Florida now. She lives in Florida now, but she actually grew up in Texas. So
okay. Well, if she ever comes home to visit, and come visit the shop here at Louisville, so I'd be happy to read it.
there you go, Ashley. She'll read you. Now, how long were you guys in the haunted location? Like
a week and a half.
Felt like it. It was we filmed for 2 nights. Us as the cast were there for 2 nights. What would we say, 14-hour days, if not longer
12.
than that?
At least 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it was at least, we would go in about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and we get back to the hotel about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys didn't sleep in the locations, or did you actually
No.
sleep in No.
No, we didn't sleep there.
They would not allow us to stay overnight at the penitentiary.
We filmed overnight. We were there at night, but slept during the day away.
I get it. I'm in the paranormal. Like, in the
Yeah.
White House. This is my prime time. I get it. Did you guys experience paranormal hangover when you guys got done filming?
I don't know that they know what that is, but yes, definitely.
So paranormal hangover is
It just
it
feels
drains
like all
you.
your energy has been drained. It just feels like you have a hangover.
Now,
Well, yeah.
I
speaking of,
actually think I felt the exact opposite. I was very hyped up about doing the filming and hyped up about the show. And like I say, I connect so much to the elements. I was soaking in so much elemental energy around there. I went home and I was buzzing for like 3 days. So.
now, speaking of energy, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead, and then
No,
I'll ask
I
my
was just
question.
saying it took me 2 or 3 days to recuperate. But what surprised me is how easy it was to stay up all night while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, so I was at Eloise last week for a private investigation. I had been up all day. I had been to 3 different locations. I was at the Stone Mansion, Randolph County Infirmary, and then I came here. I got done. And no, I'm not telling them the story, Ashley. She's in the comments. And so on the way home, I was like an hour away from home, and I just had to pull over. I was so tired. All of a sudden, all my energy was gone, and I had to pull over, and I took an hour and a half nap on the side of the highway. Like, I mean, the exit ramp. But yeah, no, it's just, now my thing was, we had the eclipse on Monday. Did you guys feel an energy shift after the eclipse was over?
I'm still feeling the energy shift of that. Absolutely. 100%. We are in transformational energy for probably the next 6 months. We're going to feel this. Mm-hmm.
It just, right after it was over, I don't know where you all were at, but where I was at it was 99.9% totality. So, but right afterwards, I felt all my motivation and all my energy was gone. I just done.
Interesting.
Did you?
I had a headache all day. I don't know what that was about, but I don't hardly ever get headaches, so I thought that was weird.
Well, I mean, that's can I ask, what is your zodiac sign?
Mine?
I'm a
You're Sag? You're Sag? Yeah. Me too. Regina, what's yours?
Scorpio.
Scorpio, so you're a water. Steve, what's yours?
Pisces.
Pisces. So, and that kind of makes a lot of sense, because what I was telling people is this eclipse, of course, was in a fire sign. It was in Aries. And so it was new moon in Aries. And of course, we also had the comet coming through, but a lot of people were saying, well, what do you do with eclipse energy? A lot of people were saying, oh, you should do nothing. You should just shy away from it. It's too much. It's just this, that. And then others are like, no, you need to go out there. This is Aries. This is action. You need to take some action. And my thought on it and my take on it was, all right, it depends. If you are a fire sign or an air sign, get out there, take some action, do something that helps to energize you. If you are a water sign or an earth sign, sit still, take it in, enjoy it, just kind of stay a little bit sedentary during that. And I found that most people that did that really felt the energy a lot differently. Mm-hmm. That was just my take on it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I
loved it.
Yeah.
So Ashley says
Pisces got a little bit of all that in them, though.
Oh, yeah.
Ashley says she's a Taurus and her husband is an Aries.
So yeah. Well, the earth and fire, that's a good combination. Earth and fire.
See, I'm a Sagittarius. My wife, I don't know what her sign is. She was born July 1st. So whatever that is.
She's a Cancer.
Uh-oh.
She's a water sign. She's a water sign. So yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, Cancers are very much about home and hearth, and they're very emotional. All water signs pretty much are. They have a lot of emotional energy, but they're very much about family and connection. So yeah, it's a good thing. My sister's a Cancer, so it's all right.
She's probably watching right now, and not that I was nodding my head like that when you said she was emotional. Yes, she's very emotional.
In good ways too. I don't mean that as a bad thing. I mean, they feel things very intensely. Yes.
I mean that in a bad way, but that's because I'm married to her. Normally, I tell people she's my demon. So, like when I do paranormal investigations, I used to use some of my energy. Feel free to take my energy as long as you don't attach yourself to me or come home with me, because I've already got a demon at home. So. She hates
That's very Sagittarius of you.
she says if I keep telling the joke, the only way people are going to be communicating with me is through a Ouija board. So I told her if she does murder me, at least make my episode of Snap, be interesting. I don't want some girl to change the channel because she doesn't find my murder interesting. So that was my only request. See, I'll be famous. I'll be the guy that gets murdered by his wife.
You wouldn't be the first.
Right.
I'll be another spirit that you guys can communicate with during a show.
There you go.
So now I lost my question. This doesn't happen. It actually happens often. Now, do you all use equipment, or do we just go in, or is this one of those that we have to go watch the show to find out the answer to that question?
No. I mean, yes, of course, but no. I mean,
myself, stop watching this and go watch because it's probably more entertaining than watching me.
Myself and Lee are the investigators in the cast, and we of course have equipment, and we allow the others to use the equipment, to experience, to ask questions about it. How would you use it? How do you do it? And they were all very open and willing to try, which was very interesting to see too, because they have never touched any of it, didn't know what it was, didn't know what it did. So yes, we do use equipment.
Right,
I use my feet.
I'll get back to you, Steve. Go. You use your what?
I use my feet. I did the whole show barefoot. Yeah. I take my shoes off so I can feel that earth energy as close as I can. So, they tell me a lot. So I use my feet.
You know what? I ground myself before and after investigations. So I will go barefoot and walk through the grass and let Mother Earth take its energy. Now,
that's
Steve,
exactly why I do it.
What was your favorite piece of equipment to use while filming?
Who are you asking?
You.
You.
Oh,
You.
I'm sorry. I got
No, you're
I got distracted.
Listen, that's fine. I have ADHD, so I feel you.
I did like the dowsing rods because they're kind of an upgraded version of some old school techniques, and I don't feel like you can fake those. Dowsing rods, right, Regina?
Yeah.
Okay. Works kind of like a pendulum, I would say. I really like those. And I like that camera. And I know you told me what that camera was.
It's the SLS camera.
SLS. I need to write that down. I really liked all of it. I didn't really like the whole blindfold listening thing. I wasn't.
Estes method.
Yeah, because it was frustrating because I kept hearing someone trying to come through, and it was almost like they were being blocked out, interference. It was real faint communication, almost like they were screaming through a pillow, trying to speak, but something wouldn't allow them to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that absolutely makes sense. I have been part of multiple Estes sessions where you're getting intelligent responses, but then you're trying to communicate with a certain spirit, and then it's like something is keeping it from responding.
Yeah,
so
it's interference. It was
frustrating.
It was, and you have to wonder why, or what is the interference. And I don't know I have no idea what the interference was. If it was other spirits, it was just the energy of things, or just an untrained ear. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the untrained ear is the better one, as opposed to someone that's trained. You're gonna say whatever you hear. Like sometimes.
Uh-oh. We lost him.
Yeah.
We still have each other. We'll just take over the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
A sharp image of the other side casts.
That's right. There you are.
The spirits don't want me to talk.
We were getting ready to take over your show, so
that's fine. Go ahead. Here we go. There you
go. There we go.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, like my screen just went black. Like everything just like shut down, and it's not. I have no idea what happened.
Well, you are at a haunted location, so
yeah, exactly.
So I feel sometimes as an investigator, we will focus on what we're trying to hear, and we'll miss important stuff while doing the Estes method. Yeah. I don't know. That's just me.
It's really almost like learning a foreign language. You have to tune your ear to it, and it takes a long time, many years to hear it.
Well, maybe we try too hard to hear it. Maybe we shouldn't try to listen. Just maybe that's I know a lot of times you try too hard, you get in your own way. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And real quick, Regina, before we end the show, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. But what is your favorite piece of equipment?
I am a 100% fan of dowsing rods. I like the low tech. I like to be able to go into very old locations and be able to use a piece of equipment that I feel they're not afraid of. A lot of these pieces that we have nowadays that light up and make a lot of noise, I think sometimes can intimidate the spirits or scare them. Cat balls. Yeah. I mean, I use all those things too, but I mean, if I would set out on a paranormal investigation with one piece of equipment, it would be the dowsing rods.
All right, so I'm going to ask each of you one question. It's going to be the same question. Steve, we'll start with you. Steve, if you could investigate one location, what would be the top of your bucket list of a location to investigate?
I mean, I don't have the experience to give you I think a precise location. I'd love to go to Europe though, to some of the old castles.
That works. That works.
Yeah, or even maybe somewhere like Mexico, ancient Olmec, somewhere the pyramids. I don't know, that might be a whole different kind of spirit that we encounter down there, but I think it'd be interesting to go down there.
Colleen, you?
I think a lot same as I don't have enough experience to give you an exact location, but there's, again, I would love to get overseas to the, into like the Paris catacombs. A friend of mine is actually doing a tour on Halloween into the Paris catacombs. I would love to go on that.
Me too.
Oh, it'd be amazing. But even it's keeping it closer to home. I don't want to go to Salem. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, you're a witch. Do you want to go to Salem?" No, I have no interest in going to Salem. It's so commercially overdone at this point. But I'd love to go into New Orleans, into some of the older areas of New Orleans.
Yes.
Man, my boss is from New Orleans, and she talks about things there that it'll just, just make your skin curl. So I'd love to experience that kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Plus
Let's
the food
do
is
that.
really good.
Let's do that, Colleen.
Yeah,
Well,
let's do it.
French, yeah, you in,
French.
Regina? Let's go to the
I'm
French
totally
Quarter.
in.
Let's
I-
go to the
I-
French Quarter.
I'm down for that.
Come on.
I'm down for the food, and I'm down for the spookies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And we got to go see Madame Laveau's shop. So let's
That's
do that.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when we doing this?
I don't know. Let's
No, I
work
got
out
the
the
calendar out to you. Give me a date.
I'm free sometime in 2025.
yeah, that's 2024 is pretty much booked for me. Regina, if you had one paranormal location that you haven't been to, what is the number one top of your bucket list?
It's right down the street from where you are. I want to go to Randolph.
Yes.
I mean, I
Yes!
haven't been there yet, and I'm just dying to go.
You haven't been there?
Haven't
Let's-
been there
let's-
yet.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's absolutely.
Yes,
Let's go to
blessed.
Randolph. It's literally an hour. This was last Saturday. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Yeah, I can't. It just looks like a bright
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, here, maybe if I turn down the screen, that might work. Nope, it won't work.
No.
I was at Randolph last Saturday, so
No.
and we had some activity. But I actually know the owner Dan. So let me know when you want to go.
Definitely want to go. That's been on one of my bucket list places for a long time. So
I am going this year. First off, I'm going to Penhurst next month.
amazing.
Going to the
It's amazing.
Paracon. So
Yeah.
Emmett and I are taking the 9.5-hour trip from Northern Indiana in a car. I got a hotel room for 2 days. We're gonna go party with the rest of the paranormal investigators, have some fun, and then I'm going to Fairfield County Infirmary
Mhm.
for their convention, and then ISS Con. So the Indiana State Sanatorium. So if you guys,
Mhm.
I mean, I know it's been on TV shows, but Indiana State Sanatorium is on another level, and
Yeah.
I really love that. That was my first ever paranormal investigation. So I have and I've been there 3 times. So it's like my home away from home, which
Right.
now Eloise is I was here last Saturday. I'm here tonight, and I'm here next Saturday too. So it's my home away from home, and it's a spooky home. But
Right.
it's one of the, I guess, 5 remaining buildings out of the. Oh, there's a black cat. That's cool. There was at one point. This was its own city. It had 75 buildings here at one point, and
Wow.
now there's only five left. So, this is why I am a paranormal investigator, is because I love the history, And history is not always sunshine and roses. There are dark things in that history, and in communicating with the spirits. So I really appreciate you guys all coming on tonight and reaching out to me. I like when you reached out to me, like I was like, where's that picture? Am I being punked? Like because normally people don't ask to be on my show. They're like, I asked them. So it was very nice that you guys asked to be on my show. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you having us.
Thank you very much.
I'm excited to see. I'm gonna go subscribe to Paraflex, and tomorrow I will watch your guys' pilot episode. And I suggest everybody go subscribe to Paraflex, or if you have Amazon Prime, pay the $1.99 episodes. Maybe after everybody takes their time. I get it, but yeah, go watch it, and I'm excited to see your philosophy in action. And yeah, I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I definitely want to have you guys on again sometime.
Great. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good weekend. I am off next week. No show. Hold on a second. Have any of them been to the Palace Hotel in Port Townsend? No?
No.
Actually, they have not. Okay. We have asked that question. Thank you. Thank you again all for coming on, and you guys have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.